Hey guys, it's the Crypto Sniper. Thought I'd check in with you on the roll. So a couple of things that are on my mind that are kind of interesting. One is Tether. So we've got, I think, this gentleman Howard Lutnick of Cantor Fitzgerald that is being mooted as Trump's Treasury, replacing Yellen, Granny Yoda. Now, he was the CEO of Cantor Fitzgerald and has been for quite some time. He was the CEO during 9/11. Now, we're talking a long time ago. That's 23 years of Cantor Fitzgerald. And Cantor Fitzgerald was the office that had a number of cases pending against it, and all the documents were blown out and lost. A bit like Rumsfeld's $2 trillion that fell behind the couch on the 10th of November that he mentioned, that should have been unaccounted for Pentagon money, only for events to bury that news. And the very department that had a lot of the documents and the audit and all of that to be hit. So there were a lot of very fortunate hits. Anyway, I don't want to start out too conspiratorial, but he's a chosen one, which is code for master race. You know, there's no difference between saying God chose our people than saying we are the master race. So it's you know, it's just a more sanitized version of Nazism. Anyway, he's heavily invested in Tether, and he's being mooted and pushed by Elongated to become the new Treasury head. Don't forget, Elongated is going to be Dog E, Department of Government Efficiency, with his so his association with that token and why it will be a thing continues, and the naming, gaming, and all the footying around that they like to do is there for all to see. Now, the interesting thing about Tether is that it's been almost uniquely a dollar phenomenon. It's been almost uniquely a dollar phenomenon. Crusty old Europe has not embraced the crypto culture, certainly not at a governmental level or an infrastructural level. This has been retained as a California American tech innovation in terms of that. It's not been embraced. They've kept it arm's length distance, so there is no real euro stablecoin viability. Yes, there are euro stablecoins, but they're tiny in comparison. So what you're actually getting is the new dollar is Tether, and you're getting a continuation in a sense of hegemony, potentially, which goes a little bit conflicting with some narratives that I've had, that I've even espoused regarding you know, we're going to end up with some hybridized baskets of currencies as America's economic clout is greatly reduced after the next asset devaluation spell. Anyway, lots of divergence, but I'm thinking a lot on the role of Tether, and this comes out of good work done by Whitney Webb and another gentleman, the Bitcoin editor, and terrible with names, so write in the comments his name. He deserves a credit for it. And he's been pointing out, and this is someone who is a Bitcoin evangelist, so I like enlightened people who see the role and also talk about the liberty and the surveillance finance element, and all those that are compromising with, yay, okay, BlackRock can pump my bags, as long as someone pumps my bags, I don't care. The surveillance system being downloaded. Yeah, we can all get rich, and it's part of my game to help my community to maximize their wealth in all of this. And crypto is going to be something that's potentially could even have a hyper alt and bull market. And I'll come back to why 2021 highs and 2021's bull market was a disappointing run compared to 2017-18 high, and why actually this one could actually be larger. Most people are subscribing to the bent banana. You know, you kind of went from, let's just say the low in 17 was 1,000. It wasn't, it was below 1,000. and you closed at 20k, you had more than a 20x. In the case of the next bull market, you only went 3 and a bit more than the previous high at 69. So it was a pretty, by the geometry of each time, it was a very muted bull market. That had a combination of FTX going down, a lot of things in it. I think actually crypto has been held back for the Biden presidency, that 4-year cycle, immensely. Ending with the whole starting with the whole FTX, 3 arrows, you know, the whole bear market that came in. And anyway, so when we called the top of the treasury bond market in 2020, it was miraculously funny because we were the only one who had that view in 2020. That Tether that was continually being hassled by the SEC, by all sorts of people. It was always in, Bitfinex was battling with getting banking. There was a lot of hassling on Tether. There was a lot of jabba. The minute in 2020, when they said we're no longer going to have Bitcoin as collateral or other tokens, which are highly volatile, and I would understand being a mistake. But what they pivoted to was treasuries. And I remember tweeting the great irony of a stable coin that has always messed up its collateral because it chose a correlated asset like Bitcoin that can lose 80%. So in bear markets, your collateral absolutely plummets. A high volatility item. Now we ended up with a situation where they were now pivoting to an asset class that's known for being stable and boring, but just after it had finished a 40-year bull market and went into a 45% collapse from the 2020 period through to the 23 3-year spell with the rate tightening cycle. So they chose exactly the wrong asset, or potentially the right asset at exactly the wrong time in a 40-year spectrum. It would have been adequate collateral any time from 1982 all the way through, because it continued to firm up slightly. It would be counter-cyclical to stocks, a la the 60-40 portfolio, which, as I point out, used to actually not be 60-40. It used to be at least 10% gold, and some would have 20% gold. But that doesn't apply anymore. And hence why the 60-40s are losing, had they had gold. And the amazing thing is, Tether never thought of gold either. And had they chosen gold as collateral, they'd continue to have to buy less of the item on account of its appreciation. But they'd go, oh, but then there's the custody of it, and you've got to put it somewhere, and all of the costs that went with that. Well, you're talking about something that was $250 in 2001 and is well over $2,500 today. I think it would have covered your custody costs and quite a bit more. So they went to, no, you can own digitally, and everybody wants the convenience of digital USDTs. And the clever thing about this is just as bifurcation is leading to China buying less. Now, my first objection to this theory that we're going from a petrodollar, which means, so just short basic reminder of that. The Saudis, hey, nice little oil farm you've got here. To be a shame if somebody came and beat you up and took it all off you and killed the leading families. We could stop that. You buy our armaments, you price only in dollars, and all that excess money that you're getting for sitting on this mega oil farm is being plowed into USD treasuries, and we'll create a 40-year bull market where actually that stuff will even go up slowly, not like equities, and you'll get paid a yield as well. That was the deal for the Saudis. Don't forget, that was 71. Nixon fell apart. Kissinger went across in the 70s for that. That was just at perfectly timed with the Volcker high where they killed inflation, and then it was a 40-year bull market. So actually it wasn't a bad deal for the Saudis then, which has ended because all semblance of stability. So when things give a low yield but they're very stable, it is a good risk adjusted thing. If it gives a low yield but it can lose 45%, then it's not a good risk-adjusted investment anymore. And that's what's happened to the debt markets. So the Saudis are divesting. Everybody who wants to actually make money, that's not a not-for-profit system sustainer, ends up in a situation where they don't want to hold treasuries anymore. Okay, fine. So who's going to hold treasuries? So we pivot now. If you want to come into the crypto space and take part in the fundamentals of Bitcoin and or any other crypto, you sell your dollars in Bank of America to you take your dollars, from Bank of America, you onboard them on Coinbase. More to be said about Coinbase in a minute. And Coinbase then will sell you tethers, or will give you tethers for your. And they are all, these exchanges that will offer you tethers are actually like subsidiaries of banks that are creating new digital money. They are expanding the market cap. So every time somebody moves 100 grand into the crypto space and gets given tethers for his dollars, those same tether issuances are taking that money and going and buying a USDT. So they are supporting the old legacy system in an absence of bid, in a manner as to onboard the inflation of the new system. So it's an amazing duopoly of you're continuing to provide last minute support in a very unattractive asset class right now. That's, let's be clear, Paul Tudor Jones, Stanley Druckenmiller are now declared themselves, we will not hold any longs, and we are trading short the debt markets. On the issuance of Janet Yellen, where Druckenmiller's even used the phrase spending like a drunken sailor. So there's no financial probity at all. And who's monetizing that? Then people will go, but hold on, the amounts are all wrong. Yellen's doing $1 trillion every 100 days, 81 days after August's rate. September's rate of increase. And, Tether's not even a trillion market cap. So this is why I'm here to say the fundamentals could come violently for crypto. The Trump trade entirely is actually a crypto trade. Forget everything else. Dollar, oil, gold, blah, 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 blah. Forget everything else. The people he's surrounding himself is Elon Musk, Doggy, already holds a lot of Bitcoin. Go see the Bitcoin holdings, accepted Bitcoin for Teslas, etc. Also holds Doggy. The people he's surrounding himself with are invested in Tether, potentially this Howard Rutnick, who clearly wasn't in the office when 700 of his employees got incinerated, much like Goldstein. But anyway, don't let me digress. The key point here is he's surrounding himself with crypto new system stooges. This 4-year presidency is the pivot to the normalization and the mainstreaming of crypto. And all of you watching it are early, even if you've just become wise to crypto this year. In terms of the cycle, we only think of original gangsters in the crypto space as being guys that were sort of 09, 10, 11, 12, 13. I consider myself late, being 16. But in terms of the average people that don't trade, on investors, don't think about financial things, everybody is early, is new. So that's where we're at. And the fundamentals to come. So the only problem, you say, well, at the moment they're minting 4 billion here, that doesn't, what is 4 billion compared to you know, what she's doing in a year in America in overspend, 4 trillion. Well, it's 1,000 times too small if they've just done another 4 billion of Tether prints. Well, what if there is some cutback in expenditure? Believe you me, there's plenty of waste in government, and American government is no exception. Let's say Doggy does kill some government departments. I don't think they can turn the oil tanker around and ever go back to being, you know, cash flow positive. They're always going to overspend more than they do. But let's say they do kill off a bunch of waste and cancel a lot of public sector workers that are doing, you know, diversity consultants, all get the boot, you know, all the ESG jobs that Lowell Finkelstein gave us of BlackRock get a bit cut back, and it's not such pleasant times for the left. Let's say those cuts occur to some degree, and instead of minting 4 trillion a year of overspend, they bring it down miraculously to 2.5. And in the same time, the Tether creation, remember, you need to think of Tether as the umbilical cord. So you've got an old mama with a new baby, and the baby has to replace the dying mother. And it's an umbilical cord. They need that umbilical cord to get as fat as possible, and they need to ram as much stuff through it as quickly as possible to inflate the new system so that all the assets, which you will have tokens on and everything else, can be transferred into the new baby system on the umbilical cord. And the transfer mechanism is Tether, USDTs. And this is fascinating overall to me, and it highlights tokens like Tron, which is issuance of Tether, one of the biggest. It highlights the dark state agents of Sailor, Max, Kaiser, and all the other influencer pumpermentals who don't give an absolute, who started off on a Liberty anti-banker platform and now don't say a single thing about the advancements of the surveillance state under the digitized money, and that Bitcoin was clearly an NSA item, something we said since 2016, and you can't trust it. It's here to take you into your new digital prison, as is crypto as a whole. And I remember saying to everyone who said, don't, you know, how can you take an XRP trade? They're the banker's coin and all of that. No one should have anything to do with it. And I said, all the major market cappers that will succeed will be status coins. So you're seeing Charles Hoskinson, say it correctly, Hoskinson is now being mooted for this unique group. You're seeing HBAR is being mooted for a potential place in the, I can't remember the job role he'll be given. It's Brooks, sounds like another master race candidate that's been selected, and he's worked in all the key places. You know, I was looking at his Wikipedia, and he's done them all. You know, he's done all the crypto, he did the comptroller, he was like everywhere. He's going to be made a key role in Trump. So everything that is surrounding Trump is an acceleration and advancement of the tokenization, digitization of your money, the killing of cash. So Trump is pro-dollar and is now pivoted pro-Bitcoin, and Tether is the digitized cash version of dollar. He's not pro-cash notes, he's not pro-gold. He says very little about them, but they are the attack vectors and the alternatives. Physical, true wealth in your hand. I wouldn't say dollar's wealth, but it's at least your transactional currency physically held in your hand that doesn't have every transaction that was done before it written down on the note, and what you're currently buying it for everyone to know. Francis bought a car with this $500 note. I'm not sure such a thing exists, but anyway, there's a euro note of 500, which is now largely impossible to find, and I think they're pulling them all back in. So this is kind of where we've got to, and the difference in issuance in tethers is going to increase, and that will be part and parcel of pumping your bags. And this could be a super pump period. However, the difference is they're ready for you on the whole tax extraction game. They're much more ready for you on the whole tax extraction game this time. Much more. In short, you're going to be in a situation where those that make good money, that haven't planned for this event, will be trapped in a tax capture, almost certainly. And whilst it was the Dems that were pushing the unrealized capital gains, believe you me, the extraction is going to be big on crypto, and all the exchanges are captured. You saw what happened to CZ and Binance and how it's now a WEF thing. Well, you will learn and see what's happening in this space further, and you will be taxed hard. You will be taxed hard. But you may end up with one of the biggest crypto alt market and Bitcoin runs that we've had. I don't think anything matches the first cycles, by the way, when you were starting on a pennies and tuppences of a coin. But I think it will surpass the previous bull market, and possibly match and surpass even the 17-18 halvening bull market. And that's something that I think is incredibly interesting. And why? Because they need to inflate Jupiter into the beach ball. It's the analogy I've always given. At some point, there's got to be a quickening of this process, and they have to get the mechanisms and the rails for that. And all these investors in Tether and all these other tokens that are likely to bring about the voter ID, that's another thing. And they will bring in the digital ID on a center-right government, not a leftist, because all the libertarian people will resist anything that comes from a leftist. But if Drumpf is the true name, by the way, he's a name changer. It's DRUMPF. If Drumpf, I quite like that. It's got that far less, it's got a bit of a klutzy ring to it. If Drumpf actually says, guys, we can't have a vote capture like 2020. So the scam of 2020 was probably designed to help create the argument, let's ensure this never happens again. The citizens need confidence in their election processes. To ensure this doesn't happen again, we will have, and then you have a voter ID. Everybody has a voter ID, and otherwise you can't vote. So they will use your puppet show that you're participating in, voting yourself freedom, with this coordinated agenda that's all people whose names and faces you don't even see. The most powerful people are the names and faces you don't even see, guys. You need to understand that. They're not going to be presidents or anything else. They're going to be names and faces of people you simply just don't see. That's the game. And there's not too much, we can say about that. If you think Trump is the power, or Peter Thiel, he's certainly dark and he's in a very strong position. Yes. But is he the guy who's guiding all of this? No. He's going to be part and parcel of the delivery through Palantir and all of it, but it's the big old legacy families right the way around who are giving him his orders on the quiet, and the participation in the builders group and all of that, and all the appointed leaders that tell him how he must rock and roll, that will do it. But he's got more power, I would say, than Trump. He's got the money, he's got the tech understanding. Trump doesn't understand any of this. He just has to, do what he's told and say, I'm pro this, I'm pro that. He doesn't have to explain or understand it. These other guys like Thiel and Musk are at least smarter, but they still put forward as, as front men. Musk and Thiel have made most of their money out of government. That's a fact. Most of their money out of government. California credits on Musk, Tesla, SpaceX, that's NSA PSYOP, that's the whole space scam. I mean, all of that is money is being paid for by NASA, okay, and all these other supposed people and places. So I just want to say to you that the status are all over this, and with the collapsing debt market that is now become what was early called by us in 2004 is now anybody who watches YouTube or understands it, now that Stanley Druckenmiller has said it, is now a fait accompli, and everybody recognizes debt market is a wreck. So how do you continue to support the over expenditure of what's going on in running the country in America, given that they spend twice what they get in taxes? Well, you want it to die eventually, but you need to keep it up while you're transferring all the goods. It's like you've got an old house stuffed with valuables and Van Goghs and everything and Ming vases, and you've got the new lovely house and the old house is on sinking sand. You've got to get that tube into the other one going, and you've got to get all the valuables out. You've got to hold it up temporarily. I mean, this system, the traditional financial system, is long overdue a proper collapse, but it's being sustained and kept alive on the basis that it needs to survive until the infant is now a teenager strong and can carry all the goods of what was in the old house. And so this whole mechanism with Tether is fascinating. And I think the minting of Tether values is going to rocket. It's going to continue to escalate higher. And that's going to lead to a buyer of last resort being provided for treasuries, and people getting out of, ironically, the fiat dollar that was borrowed into existence with the debt. So its twin sister is the debt instrument. That dollar escapes the fiat system into the crypto realm, gets tethers, buys into Bitcoin, and people jump back into tethers when they're a bit scared or the market's looking, and that tether system is coming around and buying up the debt that is seeing the dollar fly away from it. So you've got this perfect figure of eight of sustainability for now on the debt system, until they're ready to rug pull the legacy system. But they are going. This is a more than a decade long process. This is a 15-year process. So it might not all happen in this one cycle. But my expectation for this bull market is that you will have a better alt and Bitcoin bull market than you had last time. Last time was dogged by the hedge fund failures, the FTX failures. I don't think you'll ever not have scams and rug pulls, but I think the scale and the degree will be less. I think that tool has been partially put away for now. It could come in again later. But initially, they need confidence. They need institutions. Everybody must have valid custody. They want faith. It's being mainstream now. It's no longer the Wild West where people, lose all their shit and quadruple their money in a day and all of that high-flying stuff. But there's all sorts of criminality, supposedly, forgetting cash and how it was always the criminal's choice, to eventually ending in a situation where it's much more sanitized and safe. But you've given up, of course, your freedom for that. But you've got all of these custodies, you've got these KYCs, you've got all these biometric IDs, and all of these systems are pre-designed that everybody plays the game till eventually they will know who you are. They'll have your biometrics. That will be a global system, not controlled by any one government. It will be globified, which will largely reduce the power of national governments. They'll for now still be the localized point that will chase you if you owe tax or whatever the point may be. But actually the long run is there's a global tax system, and your local, which will be your nation state, whichever you're in, will be the people that'll come for you for your extraction. But what you're going to have is a standardized token and technology, much like you have Windows and Apple iOS and all of these things coming along. And this is a digital prison that is coming along for us all. And to do that, they needed pumpermentals, the Tether. And that means they've got to create the demand for more fiat out of the old system to come rushing in. Institutions, corporations, pension funds, a prediction, pension funds are going to now start accepting Bitcoin as a reserve asset. Some sort of declaration that Bitcoin can be considered a reserve asset, even though it's super volatile, loses 80 or 90% in bear markets. Hey, never mind about all that history. It's going to become more stable now. It's going to only largely go up. It's bull market, blah, 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 blah. More Michael Saylor type figures that are, as I say, dark state type guys with, funny strawman arguments and complete mono line of thought. They're going to drag everybody into the surveillance finance system. And he's not libertarian. How could people consider this guy to be a super Chad? What? Because he weighs in big with borrowed money. That is what it is. So what does it all mean for you? Yes, for your greed reflex and for the upside. Everybody's in the bent banana type mode. We started using it, and then unfortunately another influencer started using it, so I've stopped using it. But that was diminishing returns, the degree of pump as the market cap grow. What you're going to have is we need a super surge of early adopter onboarding onto the new system now that the techs and the rail has all been done. And Charles is at the center of it. So all ADA guys that thought, he was a good guy, he is, and he's a nice persona, but he's working with a status. Every macro major token that is got, multi-billion market caps is in some way bringing and building the new digital system, prison system for you. However, if you can make money, you should. And by the way, our community specializes on how you can preserve and keep that money in reset times as a result of all of this kind of conduct. And that's pretty damn important, because it's going to matter where you're taxed. In long run, they're going to harmonize all those, and most of you are going to be captured because you're living in the same country you were born in, you bank in the same country you were born in. If you have a company, it's in the same country with the same bank that you were born in, and you have the same passport of the country that you were born in. And you haven't followed the 5 flags, and you haven't even got 2 flags, and you don't have optionality. And getting it all coordinated across the globe is tough, and they're impatient, and they need to bring their messiah soon, so they're running out of time. And so a few people that are well planned will potentially get away with not being extracted and get a major macro bull. The other thing I'm going to say is 518 days is my call, and I think around about end of August going into September of 2025 is when you want to start exiting, or certainly greatly reducing any leverage. I would close and even taking any profits off the table. And I'll explain why in future videos, why I say that time frame, but I actually expect a very good crypto sphere during this period. The one thing many will say, but you mentioned this demand destroying event. It's something they could do. But it could be something that survives and does very well in that environment and pumps on it as it affects more. If it's a banking crisis or it's a repo market crisis, it could be something that crypto doesn't have a sell-off on. But even if I'm to say that crypto is going to go up much higher than you expect between now and 1st of September 2025, that doesn't mean you can't have corrections of some scale in that. It's a high volatility asset. So we talk about this and more inside the community, and which are our power plays for all of this. Don't forget, book a call, and the key element of ensuring that you are reset ready when the tax extractors are coming. I will also mention Coinbase that I wanted to refer to, and I'm going to have to do a follow-up because I need to go now. But Coinbase actually bought the company that did all the super custody tech that most are using. So you actually have one particular exchange that actually does the 90% plus of custody for major institutions and big players that hold 90% of the Bitcoin. So in terms of your freedom money, retail is less than 10%, and in terms of custody, you're less than 10% by custodying on your hard wallet. So it is already institutionally captured at a multitude of levels. There's more to be said on that, and it's fascinating. And we will maximize out of this, but there's a point to sell and there's a point to get in hard assets, and you must resist the tokenization that will be coming on all assets. Okay, gotta go. Bye for now.